All right, everybody, welcome back. It is time for the defensive line. Now we are doing the defensive line. So jumping over to the other side of the ball here, and we're going to just go ahead and get things kicked off on this afternoon with the full gamut of defensive linemen. We're not separating them out. I thought about doing nose tackles and then doing defensive ends, but there aren't enough nose tackles to really make that worth our time. There are even fewer true nose tackles in this draft than there are right guards, I think. So I just decided to throw them all together, and the distinction between the two is going to be relatively obvious anyway. So this gives a better idea of how I view players' values relative to each other, even though I acknowledge that their roles are pretty significantly different. I just didn't feel like it made sense to do a whole separate video for. Really, I think there are going to be like maybe 3 true nose tackles that get drafted in this draft, honestly. Like maybe 4. So not really worth separating them out. It's just kind of a dying position in a way. All right. Anyway, before we get into the defensive linemen, I want to say again, if you want to view my full big board 1 through 287 in order, go to Patreon, my Patreon, and you can get it there if you pledge 10 or more dollars, or you can go to the join button, become a member here on my YouTube channel for Ring of Honor tier members. My community tab will have a link to this document that has all the rankings 1 through 287, and you can do with it as you will once you have it. All right, so if you digest information better that way, you can still do that. All right, defensive line. I still go Jerzon Newton of Illinois, number 1. I know that most people have kind of moved on to Byron Murphy. I can't really get warmed up on Byron Murphy the way that some people are coming around on him. I don't see what people view as being so interesting. I've seen people compare him to Aaron Donald. I've seen people compare him to Jalen Carter. I don't get it at all. He's good, but I don't even know if I think he's a first rounder in this draft. I think he's right on the line. I think he's right in that late first, early second area, and I think Newton's better. Now, I'm not in love with Newton either, and this is not a very good draft for defensive linemen at the top. Like, I fully acknowledge that we had 2, maybe 3 guys in the draft last year who were better than anybody in this draft on the defensive line. But if I had to pick one, I'd say Newton is better than Murphy for me. Excuse me. And I think he'd be a slightly better fit for what Mike McDonald will want on his defensive line. My number 3 is a guy that really grew on me as I studied him, Rook Horo of Clemson. To me, he is a second round value. Really kind of came to appreciate his all around game. I think that he's going to need some time to develop the way that he'll need to play in the NFL. He might need to have that first year growing pains period. But once he gets clear of that, I think he's going to be a very good pro. Number 4 is Chris Jenkins. Just kind of a meat and potatoes, solid second round pick for me. Familiarity with Mike McDonald. Really good against the run. Only offers a little bit against the pass right now. Could change, I guess. But just somebody who you know is going to be really solid in that role. And I do see him fitting in because he has that familiarity with playing in McDonald's defense. Number 5 is Braden Fisk. I'm probably biting into this one a little too hard. He is our resident Mike Mamula this year. But I think that he's somebody who is going to overcome his physical limitations by giving a lot of effort. I don't think he fits what we're doing, but I think in a vacuum he's a good player and a good prospect. So he is my number 5. Number 6, I pull in my first nose tackle. I go to Vondre Sweat. He would have been higher than this, a lot higher, if not for the recent stuff that's come out around him. Apparently, he doesn't seem to take things all that seriously. He's not really into football, lazy, and the DUI is not a good indicator either. So we have to pull him down significantly, I think. So I've kind of pulled him down into that third round area. I still like his game. I still think he'll be a productive NFL player if he can get it right, but there's no guarantee he's going to get it right. Maybe he won't. Maybe he's good being the novelty in this league. Somebody who's like, oh, wow, look at that guy. He's almost 400 pounds, more than being a dominant player. But I still have him at 6th. Still like him. Mekai Wingo is my number 7, the LSU guy. Not very productive last year. He got hurt, but I still see something there that's really intriguing to me, and I'm not going to completely drop it just because he wasn't very good last year. Michael Hall Jr. of Ohio State, came around on him after studying him. Didn't really like what I saw throughout the year, just passively paying attention. But once I started to lock in on him a little bit, I think he's a third round guy who just wasn't monstrous last year for one reason or another. Dwayne Carter of Duke would be my number 9. This is where you start to segue into the day 3 guys for me. Dwayne Carter. Wish he played a little bit better last year, but still interesting to me, still compelling. Tyler Davis of Clemson, the other Clemson guy I have down here at number 10. Like him, compelling. Don't think he offers enough of a skill set to go higher than this, though. Number 11 would be our next nose tackle, McKinley Jackson. Not really loving what I see from him. I'm not even sure he's a true nose tackle. Maybe he can cut it as a 1 tech. I don't know about him as a 0 tech. But there's still enough going on with McKinley Jackson. And also, to a certain extent, we are driven by the fact that the position is just dead. So we need to, the guys who can kind of do it, we need to give some credit here. So I am going to go ahead and put him 11th. I know some people have him in the 3rd. To me, he's not a 3rd round guy, though. Number 12 is Mason Smith of LSU. Really disappointing season last year for him. Did not play very well, but there's still talent. There's still potential. We have to acknowledge that last year was his first year playing inside. So it wouldn't shock me if he figured it out in the next couple years and ended up paying big dividends because he is very talented. Number 13, Leonard Taylor of Miami. He's talented, but he's not really a good football player. Got a lot of work to do. So can't really take him in the top 100. Can't really take him until we get to about to this point in the draft. Segueing into the guys who I think have pretty firm ceilings down here, starting with number 14, Justin Ebugbe of Alabama. Just kind of nice meat and potatoes. Nothing special about him. Pretty decent production for a good defense, but I don't see any, like, even as a starter, you're starting to push it a little bit. Marcus Harris of Auburn would be 15 for me. 16's Fabian Lovett. 17 would be our next nose tackle. We got to get all the way down here into like the 5th, 6th round tweener territory to get to Justin Rogers of Auburn. I think that he's actually bringing some interesting stuff to the table here as a nose tackle. But again, when you get down to this level, you're getting guys who will be fighting to be on a practice squad, even much less a team. So curb your enthusiasm accordingly. Gabe Hall of Baylor, very interesting body type, very interesting athlete, but he's not really good, and he's a Baylor defensive lineman. So you take a flyer on him in the 6th round and hope you win the lottery. He is one of the guys down in this level who I think has upside beyond just being a guy, but I seriously doubt he'll achieve it, and I would bet against him personally. 19, Jaden Crumedy of Mississippi State. Number 20 is Miles Murphy of North Carolina. I like him for his size, but not much else. Number 21 is Logan Lee of Iowa. I know Hawksnest likes him a lot more than this. I couldn't really get into him. Number 22 is a pseudo nose tackle, Jordan Jefferson. I don't think he's really like a nose tackle, honestly. I think he's probably more of a gap shooter, but that's kind of the role he played at LSU, so you could kind of put him on this list in that context. But he's just okay. He gap shoots, and that's about it. Jawan Briggs of Cincinnati is number 23. And then we have another nose tackle, Evan Anderson, Florida Atlantic. This is about the area where I think we're starting to encounter some potential UDFA guys. Keith Randolph Jr. of Illinois, teammates with Newton. Christian Boyd of Northern Iowa was really interesting until you saw how short his arms were. And then Zion Logue of Georgia is my final defensive lineman on my big board. All right, so that's it. A lot of defensive linemen, 27. It's not top heavy at all. It's pretty middle heavy, though. So it's not a bad class. It just lacks star power to me. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think I missed anything. Might be another video later today. If not, I will see you guys tomorrow with more defensive big boards. See you guys soon.